Welcome to the Careers and Financial Support at University session in the St John's College webinar series. So, the first half of today's session, we're going to be looking at the cost of university. So we're going to cover university costs, financial support that you can receive from the government as a university student, and also financial support schemes that are available to university students that come from the university itself. The examples that I'll be giving for that last section, the university financial support, will be related to Cambridge University, and then we'll also look at some specific St John's College financial support schemes as well. So for information about other universities' financial support schemes, make sure you look on their websites. Okay, so first of all, we're going to talk about student finance. Student finance loans, they're made up of primarily two parts. So these are the loans that you would receive from the government. So this is the government financial support side of things. So we're going to be looking at what costs are involved and what loans you can get from the government as well. So we've got maintenance costs, i.e. the cost of living and eating, your rent, any social things you want to do. So that's known as maintenance costs for university students. And then you've got tuition fees. So this is the cost of your course, the cost that that the university or the course provider, the cost that they set basically. So these are set, the maximum of them is set by the government, but universities charge that amount. So you get loans from student finance, from the government, essentially. You get loans for your maintenance costs and for the tuition fees as well. So that's the little sum I've got in the top left. So tuition fees, so each year these are £9,250. That's what the most recent figure is. It is liable to change, so make sure that you are always looking at the latest information on the student finance website, and I'll share the link on a following slide for the student finance website. The tuition fee loan is paid directly to your university that you're at. It's paid in termly instalments. So you don't sort of see that money in that sense. It's paid directly to the university. The maintenance costs, these vary by individual and also by different universities and different courses as well, depending on the sort of course that you're doing, whether you're living at home while studying, whether you're part-time course, all of those sorts of considerations. But approximately each year it's estimated at around £10,000. The maintenance loan that you would receive from student finance, that loan is paid directly to you. And you again get that in 3 roughly equal instalments, but that comes to you. You do see that money in that sense. So if you want to look at how much of a maintenance loan you could receive, how much you would be eligible for, essentially, then you need to go on this really useful tool, which is the Student Finance Calculator. So it's means tested according to all of these different categories, as you can see, and I've just taken a screenshot from that student finance calculator for the maintenance loan section on the website. So with a lot of what I'm saying today, I'm going to be referring to other websites, be it the student finance website, certainly in this first half of financial support, or the university financial support web pages as well. So it's a lot of information that I'm giving you, but there's also a lot of opportunity for you to go away and read in detail in your own time all of these different these links that I'm sharing to you. Okay, so the next 2 things that I'm going to talk about in terms of these loans from Student Finance England, or the other national bodies of student finance, is the repayment threshold, and then also the write-off of this loan. So I think if I go to the next slide, yes, so this is an example of the repayment threshold. So I'll talk about the write-off because I don't think I've actually written it on this slide. So before we get to the repayment threshold, this loan is it's unlike any other loan you can get, really. It's seen as more like a tax, because after you're eligible to repay it only after you are earning above a certain threshold. So that's the repayment threshold that I've just mentioned. And regardless of how much you have paid off, by the time that 40 years after the year that you graduated has elapsed, it's written off. So it's very unlike any other loan, any other repayment plan that you'll encounter. So that's 2 things to say to preface this slide with is the write-off period and the repayment threshold. Now this, again, like the tuition fee amount, it is liable to change. So the information I'm giving you is the most up-to-date information that I've been able to find, but make sure that you are checking the relevant web pages for the up-to-date information. So I've got an example here. So how the repayment actually works, it's, as I said, like a tax, because each time you, if you're above the repayment threshold and you get your, let's say you get your monthly salary, you get your monthly income, however much you have earned above that repayment threshold, that is the amount that your repayment is going to be coming out of. Now, this is an automatic repayment system because you will tell student finance, you'll tell the student loans company what you're doing and so they'll know how much to take out, the same as how all the other taxes work, essentially. So typically, you're going to be only be paying back a small amount, a small proportion. It's typically on the Plan 2 repayment plans, which is the usual one. It's going to be about 9% of however much you're earning above that repayment threshold. Now, this threshold is £2,274 per month, which works out to £27,295 per year in terms of your income. So if your annual income, let's say, is £28,800 and you're paid in the form of a regular monthly wage, then your income each month is going to be £2,400. So that's the scenario we're starting with. So in that example, your income is £126 above the repayment threshold. So that means that you would be automatically paying back £11 each month, because that's what 9% of the £126, which is the bit that falls above the threshold of repayment, that's how much that is. So that's how it works. And the following slide has a quite useful table to give you the approximate amounts that you would be eligible to automatically repay. You can repay more than that. You opt to do that, but this is, I'm talking about when I've got the monthly repayments in the rightmost column. You can see that it says automatic. So that's what I mean. This is on a typical Plan 2 repayment plan. So you can go onto the student finance page for more information about that. So I'm going to move on now. So what's the cost of Cambridge? The title of my slide is a really common question that I get from prospective applicants and their supporters. So I've sort of broken down various parts of the university, the student experience that raise a cost, and I've sort of gone into a little bit more detail about how much and what sorts of things you would be needing to pay for. So what's the cost of being a Cambridge University student, I guess, is what this slide addresses. So the first and most important thing to say is that the University of Cambridge has the same tuition fee as other UK universities. So it's not more expensive, which is a very common assumption and an understandable one as well, because universities like Cambridge, like Oxford, they're very traditional and they're seen in high regard by a lot of people. So the assumption that a lot of people make is that they'll be more expensive, but that's not the case. The tuition fee is exactly the same. In terms of your rent, so where you'll be living in your college accommodation, your university accommodation, colleges will subsidise the rent for their undergraduates and their students that are living in that college accommodation. So you will be paying rent to the college, and the amount that you pay will depend on the sort of room that you have. So the way that room ballots and room allocations work is a different conversation, and there's lots of information on the college websites about that, and indeed for all of the different university accommodation schemes at all of the other higher education institutions. But in terms of just the sort of basic info for you, if you opt for an ensuite room, then that will be at a higher rent band price than a non-ensuite room. So depending on the sort of facilities that you have, whether you're sharing in terms of bathroom, other facilities, that will affect the price. So that's a broad sort of overview for you there. Also, because of the Cambridge terms, we have 8-week terms, which are shorter than the average university term. It typically means shorter rent contracts as well. So that's an important thing to consider. Subsidised meals in college dining halls. So your breakfasts and your lunches, as well as your evening meals, you can eat in college, in the dining halls. In St John's, we've recently refurbished our Bursary dining hall, along with our cafe and our bar. So this is high in my mind to mention because it is a fabulous space. So that's where students go for their meals. Typically, and this does vary by college, so that's why I've said typically, and I really do want to stress typically, it costs between £5 and £7 for hot food with a side, with pudding or drink, and approximately for the formal meals where you would go and it would be a very nice occasion and these would be served meals, like a 3-course meal, they would be approximately around £15, maybe £20 for that formal meal. The formals, as we call them at Cambridge and also at Oxford, these are some of the traditions of the university. So you would opt to go to a meal like this. It wouldn't be sort of something that you had to go to, but it's a nice tradition that people like to do to celebrate a birthday in their friendship group. And also at the end of the year, there's different formals for different celebrations, different national holidays and religious holidays as well. And there's a sports formal at lots of colleges to celebrate the sporting achievements and all the sports people in the college. So these formal meals are different to the college dining hall meals that I've just mentioned before. And as well as the dining hall and also the formal hall, you also have your kitchens, so student kitchens where you can make your own meals as well. So typically students will do a mix and match of going and having food that's been prepared in the dining hall, and then however often they wish to go to a formal hall, but then maybe mostly they're going and they're making their own meals in the student kitchens. It's really completely up to you as to how you do that in terms of your meals. Libraries then is the next section I've got. So at Cambridge and also at Oxford and a lot of other universities, you have a whole range of resources available to you just by virtue of being a university student and having access to the university library. And at Cambridge, there's the main university library, which is a copyright deposit library, which essentially means that either within the building or the warehouse or the storeroom, either on site or elsewhere, they have access to every book. So any book that you could wish to loan from the library, you'll be able to access it. Sometimes this will be in the form of the book being physically transferred to you, on loan, maybe from another library. It might also be that there's a certain chapter or a certain article in an academic journal that you need access to for your studies or for your own interest, and that might be sent to you as a PDF. So by access, I really do mean the whole range of that through the library system. And then as well as the main university library, you also have your department or your faculty libraries and your college library, and sometimes college libraries, plural. In terms of college facilities then, so I've given the example of St John's. A lot of colleges also have very similar facilities for their students. There's free laundry at St John's, which I think is a fantastic thing. I'm very jealous of the students for that service. Gym, art rooms, music rooms with equipment, a lot of the playing fields as well, I should have mentioned there. Some excellent college facilities that are available to you. So I guess the implication there that I'm saying you're not having to pay for a gym membership, there is the college gym that's available to you. So that's why it's relevant to this slide, talking about costs. And then finally, clubs and societies that you can join. And a lot of these are completely free of charge to you. And you also would get many discounts, many student discounts, just by virtue of having your university card, your student card in a lot of the shops in central Cambridge, but also via the student union as well. They often advertise discounts and offers. So in terms of the financial support that the university offers, our main scheme is the Cambridge Bursary Scheme, or CBS. So this is for UK students and EU students with settled or pre-settled status. And if you want more information on that and sort of the definitions and what makes you eligible for those various statuses of being a home student or an international student, then definitely look at our web pages about fee status for more information. International students with financial need to apply to the Cambridge Trust. Oh, sorry, I've just seen a question come in the chat. Yes, you will get the slides. So after each webinar session, you're sent a copy of the slides. So all of the hyperlinks and all of the information, you'll have access to that. So what is the Cambridge Bursary Scheme? So the Cambridge Bursary Scheme gives a grant, so it's not repayable, it's not a loan. So it's a gift of money. It's a bursary. It's a gift of up to £3,500 per year. And the exact amount that you would receive if you're eligible, because it's for those students who are coming from households with incomes up to £62,215. So it's on a scale. On the next slide, I think there's a table that sort of sets it out a little bit clearer. But this amount that you would receive is going to be means tested. So just like for the maintenance loans that we looked at before from the student loan company, the student finance loans, it's going to be means tested in the same way. And it's an automatic assessment, this Cambridge bursary scheme. So it's not something that you have to apply to separately. If you're eligible for it, you will receive the amount for which you are eligible. And you would be reassessed each year. So it's a yearly thing. So as well as not being something you have to pay back, it's also something that would be given to you in addition to any government loans, any other funding that you have received. There are some slightly higher amounts of the Cambridge bursary that you might be eligible to receive if you fall into the following categories of students. So if your class is an independent student, and that's defined as someone who's over the age of 25, or they're estranged from their family, or they have a dependent, they have a child, then you would be eligible to receive a higher amount for the Cambridge bursary, which would be up to £5,600 per year. And then students who have been in local authority care, and also students who have been eligible for free school meals, those students receive what we call the educational premium. So this premium Cambridge bursary, which is an additional £1,000 per year. So there are some sort of subcategories to look at there, but that gives you an overview of the Cambridge bursary scheme. So here's my table. There we go. That's what I've just literally taken this from this webpage here. So you can have a look at the full information in your own time. So the value of each award, each grant that is the Cambridge bursary, is based on the residual household income of the student. So that's what it's means tested against. And the amount is adjusted for the individual. So these amounts on the table are just the sort of band amounts. They're not the exact amount of the award. So residual household income is defined at the bottom there. So it's the household earnings before tax minus pension contributions. And a deduction for any of the other children in the household who are in higher education. So there's more information. These are just the indicative amounts for the CBS scheme. So there's more information on the website. So I would urge you to look at that if you are interested in finding out more. So I've also got some widening participation scholarships as well. So these might be eligible, you might be eligible for these. So I've sort of taken a summary of the scholarships that we offer. Essentially, these are scholarships, these are financial support schemes for UK students, and they're targeted at certain groups, demographic groups that are currently underrepresented in higher education. So there's the Stormzy Scholarship, which is for Black UK students from low income and or disadvantaged backgrounds to study any course, any undergraduate subject at Cambridge. And then there's one that's specifically about engineering, the Formula One Engineering Scholarship, which is for UK undergraduate students from a background that's currently underrepresented in engineering. So this includes female students, students from lower income backgrounds, and also underrepresented ethnic minorities as well. Then the Geography Scholarship is for a Black undergraduate student from a low income and or disadvantaged background to study geography at Cambridge. And finally, the Gordon Edge Scholarship, which is for a student from the Northwest or North Wales, at the Northwest of England, sorry, or North Wales. And the student would be from a low income and or disadvantaged background to study any undergraduate science or technology based course at Cambridge. So there's a lot more information about these scholarships, sorry, some of which are course specific, as you've seen on the financial support webpage there. So I've linked that for you to look at in your own time when I share these slides after the session. So in terms of the financial support from St John's College, so each college has its own schemes of financial support, as well as the main university schemes of support, which I've shown you in terms of the Cambridge Bursary Scheme, and also in terms of those specific widening participation scholarships. There's also college support that you might be eligible to receive as well. So the College Learning and Research Fund that we have here at St John's, this helps towards covering the costs of course-related items and course-related or academic activities. So this could be attending a conference, taking a language course, purchasing any equipment or books that are necessary for your studies. And each undergraduate at St John's is eligible to have the costs covered for up to £300 per year that they're an undergraduate at St John's, so per course year. As well as that, St John's College summer bursaries. So these are for any summer projects, so internships or research projects that undergraduate students with home fee status with household incomes under £67,000 can apply for. So this is something that is available to students as well. Our undergraduate studentships, so this is a further top-up funding of up to £2,000, which is given in addition to the Cambridge Bursary scheme that I described earlier. So this is for all UK undergraduates with household incomes up to £25,000. So that is a separate scheme as well. And then we've got some scholarships, and I've not listed them all here, but one that I wanted to bring out in this session are scholarships for students who would be the first generation in their family to attend university. So the John Crook Scholarship and the Davies Jackson Scholarship are examples of that sort of scheme, that sort of financial support. As well as that, we've got the St John's Academic Prizes and the Academic Scholarships. So I've given an example there. The Pythagoras Prize, for instance, is a maths-based academic prize. There is more information on these two web pages here, the finance and support pages and the grants, awards and prizes pages. So we have come to, I think I'm on time, the second half of our session, which is about degrees and careers. So in this part of the session, we're going to be looking at the links between university courses, so degrees, and different jobs, different industries, different career paths. We're going to be also looking at career support that you are eligible to receive as a student at university. And again, like for the financial support, I'll be taking my examples from Cambridge specifically, but other universities also have their different career service and career support schemes. And then we're going to be looking at some recent graduate outcomes. So basically, what did people study and then what did they go on to do? I'm going to be thinking about maybe the connections between the degrees and the careers, but also looking more broadly at the sorts of careers that you can go into from any sort of undergraduate degree. So some careers require you to have a specific degree. So examples of this are architecture. A really obvious one is medicine, a good one, I think, that requires you to have a degree in medicine before you are a doctor. And some jobs also require a particular degree subject area. So not necessarily a particular degree course, but a particular subject area. So this could be courses that are based in maths and also languages-based courses as well. So an example for that would be you would have to have a languages degree or some sort of qualification equivalent to that in languages, in the area of languages, if you wanted to be an interpreter or a translator. So even though these careers that I've got here require a specific degree, you can often fulfill that requirement by doing graduate courses or training. So the graduate medicine course is an example of that. So it doesn't have to be your undergraduate degree. You can fulfill that requirement through graduate training and conversion courses. Most top jobs don't specify that you've done a specific degree subject. They just ask for a good degree. So you've got a first class degree or an upper second, so a 2-1, that means, in any subject. Now, these careers, these jobs are often called open access because of this. So examples of that include journalism, accounting, finance, teaching, law, public administration, lots of things like that. So in terms of the career support that you can receive when you're a Cambridge student, from the career service, you can have one-to-one careers appointments. So these are really helpful, whatever level you're coming in at, whether you know and you're pretty sure what you want to do after you've finished your degree, or whether you have really no idea and all of your options are open in that sense. The career service will be able to support you with one-to-one appointments, talking through your options, going over your CV with you, giving you advice and support sort of one-to-one, which is really helpful. The second way that you can receive career support at Cambridge is the career service webpage will post jobs, internships, volunteering listings, all of these different opportunities basically for you. And you can also ask the people in your college and faculty networks. So because of the University of Cambridge being a collegiate university, you'll have your director of studies, your academic advisor, essentially, and they will be able to advise and guide you and maybe point you in the direction of some opportunities that might be of interest, like internships. But because you have that relationship with them, they are your academic advisor in college. So you've got that other channel of support for careers support in particular. And also your faculty as well, and any societies that you're part of. So you might be part of societies that are sort of more careers focused. And so they will provide some opportunities as well for you. Also, because of what Cambridge is like, in the sense that there's lots of startups, lots of really interesting, really vibrant companies, especially in the Science Park and the Innovation Centre. Just by the nature of being in the town of Cambridge, in the city of Cambridge, there will also be lots of opportunities available to you. So that's sort of separate to the university system. But indeed, those science parks and innovation centres, both those examples I've used, do have links with the university itself. The third way that you can receive career support at Cambridge is through mentoring from our alumni and also other networking events. So alumni mentoring, this is when someone has graduated from your particular course, and then they will be able to, through a chat service, essentially, they'll be able to talk to you and mentor you and advise you on how to get into the career path, get into the industry area that they're now in, coming from your course area. So they'll be able to advise you. They have done natural sciences at Cambridge. They graduated a few years ago now, and they're now doing software engineering at a company. And that's the path that you're thinking about. So you can engage with them and you can ask for their advice. So that alumni mentoring is a really, really excellent way of getting career support as well. And then workshops and presentations. So the Career Service put on a really wide range, full program of events. These can be generally about making job applications and advice on CVs and cover letters and other elements of the application process for many different jobs. They can give you sector-specific advice as well. You can go to specific sessions for working in the charity sector, for example. And then also, finally, some online resources. So PDF guides, videos, giving you information and advice. You can find these on the Careers Service website. For some of these, you do need a student login for, but the Careers Service website, a lot of it is just accessible to you right now. So a lot of it you don't need a login for. So some of those more detailed PDF guides, they're only available to students with a student login, but you can have a look at the Careers Service website today. And see what's out there, really get a real good sense of what sort of support you can receive through the Careers Service. And one thing to mention that I haven't, is that students are supported during and after their time at university by the Careers Service. Before I move on to this, I just want to confirm, yes, Bentley, this presentation will be attached to the email that I send after the session, so you'll get a copy of the slides as well. So career destinations after university. The first sort of blob I've got here, academic careers. So this is the group defined by the fact that you're progressing to further study. So you're doing a master's degree, postgraduate degree of some form, with a view to conducting your own research in the subject area, and then also teaching undergraduates. So academic careers are their own sort of separate path, separate area. Then you've got non-academic research careers, and this is often in things like conservation work, pharmaceutical and engineering companies. So you'd be involved in research, but it wouldn't necessarily be academic in the sense that you wouldn't necessarily be publishing your own research and teaching undergraduates in your subject area. Then the next section for careers destinations is jobs where you'd be using your subject background. So you'd be teaching, you'd be supporting science communication, international relations, environmental consulting, interpreters and translators. There's just some examples there. So if you did geography, for instance, environmental consulting might be the job that you end up in, and you'd be using your subject background of human and physical geography there. And then if you had a languages degree, you could go on and do interpreting and translating. If you were in politics and international relations degrees, there's an obvious link there with international relations, etc. So the final area is something that I've defined as completely different So by that, I mean, you'd not be using necessarily all of your subject specific skills as you would in this section here in the middle, but you'd be using what we call employability skills or soft skills or transferable skills in such areas such as software, data science, accounting, third sector charity work, banking, finance. So all of these like analytical skills, critical thinking skills, communication skills, lots of these ones that aren't defined by a specific subject. They're not skills that you could only acquire through doing a certain subject at degree level. These are skills that you acquire through doing a degree, full stop, basically. They're also skills that you continue to develop in the world of work and in continuing study as well. But that's what I mean by non-subject specific. So it's something completely different. So it's not related to your subject area of your degree. So next up, I've got a little game. So this is taken from the recent higher education graduate outcome survey from Prospects called What Do Graduates Do? We're going to be guessing the degree. Oh, I haven't got the hyperlink at the bottom there, but I will add that to the slides before I send you the slides, so you can read the full survey if you so wish. So I will make a note to add that. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to show you now is I've anonymized this in terms of what degree this is. But what I want you to do is put in the chat what you think the degree is that led to these top 10 professional jobs. So they've surveyed a recent graduate cohort, and a particular degree, particular subject led to these being the top 10 jobs that graduates ended up doing. So we've got, what have we got? We've got IT business analysts, data analysts, chartered and certified accountants as well. We've got teachers, programmers. Let me look in the chat and the Q&A boxes. We've got some guesses coming in. That's excellent. So we've got a guess of business management, a couple maths guesses as well. What else have we got? Yeah, computing, so computer science, absolutely. Natural sciences, yeah, good guess. I am going to reveal now that it is mathematics. But a lot of what you were saying in terms of what degrees it could have been, when you look at this full survey and you look for each degree area, each subject, you will find that there's a lot of overlap between these very related courses. It's probably intuitive, isn't it, that they lead to very related, similar areas in terms of careers. Brilliant. Okay, so the next set of top 10 jobs, I must stress these are only the top 10 jobs. So this is not an exhaustive list of all the different graduate outcomes. What degree do you think led to these jobs? So we've got teaching again. We've got some different ones now. We've got HR, PR, finance, investment analysts and advisors, management consulting as well. And we've got teaching again. We've got secondary education and primary education this time. Some business sales roles. Nice, we've got some guesses in the chat. History, sociology, geography, social sciences, yeah. HSPS, so the human, social and political sciences, economics. These are all excellent guesses. I don't think anyone's got the exact degree. Let me just double check in psychology. Let me just double check. No, I don't think anyone's guessed what it actually is, but a lot of these are extremely good guesses, and you will find that for those degrees, a very similar array of top 10 jobs. This one was philosophy, which I think often people forget about when they're guessing. So yeah, interesting. Why do you think that this degree could lead to these jobs being very common outcomes for graduates of this particular degree subject? What do you think it is about maybe the subject specific content of the degree, or maybe the transferable soft skills of the degree? What do you think leads to some of these jobs being in the top 10? Great, critical thinking skills and being able to articulate well. Yes, absolutely. So that analytical, critical thinking, and also communication, definitely. Yeah, fantastic. So the final guess is this one. So the top 10 jobs we've got here, we've got business, accounting, finance, management consulting again. We've got maybe a clue on number 6, environment professionals. I think I've given the game away there. Let me see what the guesses are in the chat. Oh, thank you very much. Yes, philosophy for the previous one leads you to have sort of an open mindset, thinking about many different perspectives that can then be readily applied to many different areas in terms of careers. Absolutely. So guesses here: land economy and geography and economics. Yeah, very similar areas. Absolutely. It was geography in this instance, but I think you'd find for all of those other ones that you guessed as well, that it would be a similar array of top 10 jobs. Brilliant. So I hope what I've shown by these, let me just flick through them again, is that there are a lot of areas of overlap between these 3 examples. Now, I picked 3 examples that look on the surface in terms of what their degree, the degrees were that led to these jobs, are quite different. We've got maths, philosophy and geography. So maths being a kind of a purely STEM science subject. And then we've got philosophy, which you could define as sort of a purely humanities subject. And then geography, which sort of takes from each, STEM and humanities. It's sort of on the fence in that sense. So I took 3 examples from the roughly defined sort of maybe social sciences, you could define that last one. So I've taken 3 quite different categories, I guess, of degree. And what I hope that I've shown you just by this short little exercise is that there are a lot of areas in terms of career areas that are overlapping. So doing one degree that is actually quite different from another degree isn't going to close off any doors to you in terms of a lot of these career areas. But then, of course, with each degree subject, there are some jobs, some industry areas which have that sort of natural intuitive link. So we saw it especially with maths, and I think especially with geography as well, with environmental professionals there. Okay, so what about the degree destinations, the graduate, destinations of Cambridge students? So we have on this slide, I've got a screenshot of a particular web page that you can access right now without a student login on the Career Service website. It's called the Using Your Degree page. So what you would do is you'd see it's all listed A to Z, all the courses at Cambridge, and you'd click on one of them and you'd find a page that looked like this. So I've taken engineering as the example today, but at the top, the first paragraph would be some quite statistical information, proportions, percentages, an overview of where graduates end up in terms of the different careers, sectors, different industries. And then in the second section, you'd find an overview of these soft skills, these employability skills or transferable skills that graduates gain from doing this particular subject. There might be some very particular ones that they want to bring out. And then finally, the final section is suggestions and resources for next steps. So where you can look for more information about the careers that they've mentioned that are linked particularly with this degree, but also suggesting that you network with alumni, so doing that that alumni mentoring that I mentioned before. So these are really, oh, sorry, I've skipped ahead to my final slide. These are really useful web pages, I think, at this stage, because you can access them, you can have a look, to think about your potential career path post-degree, but also they're really good if you're just kind of interested in seeing where people end up. They can give you some really nice pointers, some really good sort of surface level information for you to then dive in into more detail. So I think a great starting point if you have questions and considerations about your own career after university, it's a really good place to go, really good resource. So that brings us to the end of the session. So if anyone is watching the recording of this and you would like the slides, then please do email me. My email is accessofficer@joh.cam.ac.uk. It's there on the screen for you, and I can send you the slides as well. Thanks, everyone.